And we are live. Welcome to Asaf and Friends episode 4. And once again, I'm super thrilled to have you with me. We are hosting a fantastic guest today. And Shai will be with me very, very soon. Shai Toledo, who is a diamond industry leader. This episode will be streamed simultaneously on LinkedIn, YouTube, and Twitter. And as always, we'll make it available as a podcast on Spotify, Apple Music, Amazon Music, Deezer, and Stitcher. As always, my disclaimer today, I'm a full-time employee of Microsoft and nothing shared today represents Microsoft's view in any shape or form. It represents solely my personal view. Let's just jump straight into this and bring on stage the amazing Shai. And Shai, so good to have you with me today. How are you?
With this kind of introduction, it's only going to disappoint. But thank you for that.
Yeah, Shai and myself, we know each other for roughly, what is it, 8-ish or so months, odd months. Shai and I, we work together. Shai is a customer of mine, and our team is working extensively with his team on a daily basis. And every interaction I've had with Shai was always super inspirational, insightful, and I thought like, wow, let's bring on this man to my show. So let's start with the following. Shai, who are you?
My name is Shai De Toledo. I live in Belgium, in Antwerp. I lived here for a big chunk of my life. The first part was in Israel, and the second one is here. I'm married to an Australian woman with 4 children, and we did a bit of a back and forth between here and Australia, but now we're here for good.
Awesome. Awesome. Tell me a little bit about what brought you into this diamond industry business and what has also brought you into a situation where you are literally revolutionizing this industry.
Well, I grew up with it. My father was sort of the first generation of a person who's called the cleaver, which is a process which is done to the diamonds in the original state. And he is a workaholic and used to bring his work and his hands with him, on the weekends and to the house. So I really grew up around rough diamonds and um, originally he had a great part to play in this supply, which is basically transforming something which with very low quality into something that a manufacturer could use. And then with the evolution of time, um, companies mainly in India became bigger and bigger, and then took over a big chunk of it. And it was very evident for me that this is my destiny and this is what I want to do and this is my passion. And so after my military service, I immediately came to Belgium. I did my studies and then started here as well in '97. But the realities of the child who wished to become a part of this industry and the reality is very, very different things. um, and this industry in general have such a negative aura around it, and it's very well earned. So the idea was, and it took a while, is to see how can things be done differently. And it's almost like one had to do his 10,000 hours and go through the pain and through the suffering of every piece of the supply chain in order to really see the entire picture, and then start to dream um, together with my partner Rafael of how it should look like. So somewhere in 2013, we each had our own businesses, and we started to draw on a wall. We painted a wall with reusable And we just for a good 3 years just came to the office every day and devoted hours of just playing a what if story, like a what if this, and usually when, especially when you in your late 30s and whatever, you ask another guy or a woman what if, immediately you get all the negative, yeah, but
Yeah.
it can be
Yeah.
done. And then on the other side of the table was a guy that says, yes, it's a fantastic idea. And what if on top of that, I'll do that? And what if? So we started a few years of what if, which was basically the frame of what we went on to build with, of course, um, with the addition of more partners and more stakeholders into this new ecosystem.
Yeah, Shai, you mentioned the what if. Let's dig a little bit deeper on that. So,
Mm,
what is the drive for a change in this very industry? Because for many outsiders, that is not entirely clear, right? What
yeah,
would you envision? What is the drive for this change? Yeah.
absolutely. A what if would be, what if you can create an experience and that experience involved a diamond? And what if that experience would be so unique that there would be a scenario where you can say all diamonds are equal, but some are more equal than others. And what makes them more equal is the way they were processed, the way they were transformed, the way
Yeah.
the story was told.
Yeah.
And being a part of this industry, I've seen all the things that don't work, that makes at the end of the day this beautiful opportunity for a story nothing but a very um, unfavored commodity. And what happened to that commodity is that it doesn't really matter where you buy um, your your diamond, whether it's in Zale or in Walmart or in one of the fashion houses. At the
Mm.
end of the day, you get like some kind of a report that tells you what is inside, and each one of them have the exact same report. So, and then if you try to sell it or use it as a store of value and and exchange hands, you immediately see that you're going to get 50 cents, or at the best case 50 cents on your dollar. And the fact that you have this amazing mineral that has been sort of stuck in the belly of Earth for 3 billion years, older than any type of dinosaur, and the fact that you are unable to tell its story in a way that will keep me interesting, me as a client, and away from my other hat, and the fact that you're unable to tell a story and at the end of the day also retain the value of that product tells you that this whole industry is sick and something needs to change. And therefore, the what if we could change it? What if we could tell a different narrative? What if we can actually feel great about being a part of this industry? And what if we could change not only our narrative, but also the narrative of miners and governments and communities, and through that, the the buyers.
Yeah, because there's so many people involved throughout the entire journey of a diamond, right? And you're touching so many lives from Mother Earth's belly, pretty much all the way to the retail experience. Talking about that, so tell me, what does success look like in your vision of US Shy and HB trading, and tell us a little bit about that.
Okay, so yeah, for HB Antwerp, the success looks like when we can create a product to say that the main beneficiaries of this product, of this narrative, of this campaign, of this experience are the communities that belongs to. And
Yeah.
HB Antwerp is nothing but a facilitator that builds an infrastructure and an ecosystem in order for that mineral to go through and create the best kind of experience for the consumer, while acknowledging that this is not ours, that this is not the white colonial who are coming to Africa or to other parts and saying, you know what, I invested in this mine, now it's mine, and this belongs to me. But acknowledging that this mineral does not belong to you, it belongs to the people in which they sit on the land and the communities which are affected by it, and that the royalties should stream back to them. And if you can create a product which would be 100% transparent, and not just an empty word of I want to be transparent, but really not just talk the talk, but really walk the walk. And how do you make sure that you walk the walk in such a way that is so convincing and is so immutable, and the quality of that immutable pieces is so um, um, unquestionable that at the final stage where the consumer is interacting with it, she or he will know that what they have in their hands is different than anything else that they've experienced.
Hmm. Very interesting. Now, you describe what success looks like, but I'm pretty sure through all of these years, and also during our collaboration and interaction, you've been facing quite a few challenges. What challenges were they?
Well, in terms of how success looks like when a government can have a pad um, powered by Microsoft, in which they have full visibility over the entire transformation of their mineral and each of the points of value creation along the supply chain, and how, for the first time, you can take something so elusive and so easily interchangeable and create a validation in each point of its life cycle, that you can show the government and the stakeholder and the miner and the people who invested in the development of the mine how their product is uh, um, transforming over time, and make them a part of it, and make them the biggest um, stakeholders to enjoy whatever your ecosystem can produce. This is how success looks like.
Hmm. Hmm.
The challenges are everyone else who loves this status quo, who loves the way rough diamonds are sold, and loves the way rough diamonds are currently being manufactured, and love the way that there is absolutely zero transparency and zero accountability and full potential for all these bad things that can happen when you have no accountability. And basically, anyone who is either too lazy to change or profiteering from the status quo. And that puts a lot of people in that basket.
Hmm.
So the challenges and the walls, whether they're real or not, are certainly coming from that direction.
Yeah, and certainly people that don't like change, or change will change at the end of the day their top line or bottom line, right?
For sure.
Yeah. Okay, good. So you spoke actually, about the vision, about how success looks like in a world where technology is a key driver of innovation. Tell me a little bit about the technology aspects of your vision and what you're doing different, because I know that you're leveraging blockchain technology. You're having an NFT project. I know you work with IoT devices. Fill us in. What's going on in this tech sphere to enable this vision?
And I think you used the perfect word, which is enablers,
Yeah.
and which partners we have chosen to enable us to achieve something. And how it looks like is that from the core, from the beginning of everything, there is two main consideration, or which are at the core of this ecosystem that we've built. One of them has to do with the hash,
Yeah.
and one of them have to do with quality. So in the sphere of hash, which is the documentation of every transaction that happened on the ledger, but also in reality, and so um, and to almost put as a in the center of your universe, how can I create these hashes which will be immutable? And the second part about the hash is how can I have hash rate? So how many times can I produce this hash through my system? And the result is thousands of times. And the second part of it is the quality, because it's not enough, obviously, to produce just information just for the sake of information. I put it in the vault, I call it a blockchain, and I say, you know what? If I put shit in the blockchain, then in the end of the day, it would still be. So what kind of partners, what kind of enablers can I bring to this ecosystem that will make sure that the quality of that hash is the best it can ever be, if you will, a benchmark. So the quality of the hash and the hash rate are at the center of everything that we do. And then once you do that, and once you sort of commit to this level of immutability and this level of quality, which we had to buy several research and development facility in order to be able to have the technology to really say, we know. We know that there are gaps, and we managed to fill them. And we can show you how the gaps looks like. Because before we build this ecosystem, we were hackers. So we know where are the weak spots, where are the point that can be easily expose any type of other supply chain. And we made sure to fill them with technology. And then we had to make sure that each of these pieces of technology would become this phenomenal publisher. And how quality of a lake you are producing to be able to intake all these publishers, and for that lake or for that data factory to be able to become the perfect subscriber on one side, and then a publisher on the other side, a publisher towards any type of APIs, a publisher towards any type of CRM, a publisher towards a ledger, which will become the blockchain. So we really had to choose very carefully which kind of partners we need in order to be able to create not just something beautiful, but something scalable, something that can not just be, it's great that they are processing 5% of all the stones in the world, or 3% or 1%, but what about the other 95? So the idea from the get-go was not just to create something that we'll be proud of, but something that can be on a scalable, that can be scalable into a position of a small country. Or so the effect will have a much bigger ripple than just it's a nice test case. Now the majority is still the same. So, and for that partner, we were lucky enough to be to do it with Microsoft, and the idea to bring Microsoft was for two reasons. One, obviously, it's Microsoft, and the infrastructure that they can supply us both answer the idea of what they have in their toolbox and the scalability issues that we wanted to solve. But on the other hand, and maybe even more important, is what Microsoft stands for, and that is this approval, this signature of approval that companies much bigger than ourselves need in this world in order to make the effect as quick as possible that they want to have. And the fact that the path that the government will receive and the stakeholders and the miner and will receive is a Microsoft one, sort of gives let's say an immediate sense of credibility. And now that we trust that what you do is okay, let's dig in and let's really explore. So it was a great partner both for scalable and for reputation.
Hmm. So yeah, that thanks definitely, and I can only um, share with you for the entire team. The collaboration so far has been very interesting, very positive, very challenging as well, and we're learning along the way. And I'm pretty sure we'll get to the point where we can support the vision together, and we'll work on that. And a little bit on. Sorry if I drill down into tech, because at the end of the
Please
day,
do.
I'm a
Please
tech
do.
guy.
Please do.
So, what do you do with the IoT devices
Oh,
within this entire supply chain?
okay. So now, one of the of if you look at the overall
Hmm.
supply chain and where were these black holes, which
Yeah,
obviously still exist, and we've managed to fill them in our ecosystem. There is always things that you can solve with a technology, which would be a publisher of information that will be able to be the bridge between one step to the next.
yeah,
But then you are still left with the humans which are operating it, with the
yeah.
individuals which are operating it. And when you deal with such a high value items, like diamonds and like the diamonds that we are processing, there is a need for a, a sense of accountability, and not just from this point of view of the system, from the point of view of okay, the system needs to document when and how and so forth, but rather for the oneself, because every individual who is touching the stone is adding value. So how do you document in such a way what each individual, each polisher, each designer, each planner, each city scanner, each individual who has touched the stone, how do they contribute to it? And
Hmm.
so the IoT, and which is essentially, it starts, the first one starts with a box that is reading your face and your hand, and allows you to interact with it, and allow you
Hmm.
to see the information of what has happened before it, and then allows you to open it and do the transaction or the process that you need for the transformation of that stone, and then put it back in, lock it, and then transfer it to the next one in line. And we found the diamond industry. Imagine a parcel paper, and you just fold in the parcel paper, and you put the diamond in, and you just transfer it to the next guy, or to the next woman on your right or on your left, or in the next room, or in the next department. And and this process we identified as a weak link, because there was a big chunk of time that we didn't know, or the system or the ledger or the blockchain did not know the location of that particular stone, or the who was accountable for it. And it's this beautiful um, um, scenarios to watch once the IoT is integrated now into the system. It's beautiful to watch its life cycle. It's almost like you're seeing something born, and you're seeing hundreds of hands, which each one is contributing just a little bit, but also get the credit for the contribution.
Oh yeah,
um, so this is from the point of view of manufacturing, and how
yeah.
you can manage thousands of stones with accountability, with extremely high value environment, although secure, but still. And the second part of the IoT is how can we deliver a client a product and experience that sort of physically, not just digitally, embeds all the transactions that happen before it, almost like a, a physical documentation in the form of a box with information of everything that happened to it. And then the beautiful thing here, to this part, we call in our ecosystem the afterlife, where traditionally, once I pass on the product to the client, this is where my role ends. I made something, we made
Yeah.
something, we moved on, and now we're on to the next, because essentially we're a business and that's what we need to do. But the afterlife supported by the IoT device allow us and the consumer to constantly interact with the ledger and with the blockchain even after the purchase has been made. So, for
Wow.
example, if you look at the point of view of lineage and provenance, the consumer is then able to contribute to the lineage of that asset that he bought or she bought, and this is the future utilization of the same IoT device.
Oh wow. That that's pretty that's pretty industry changing, man. That's very interesting. Now, if you don't mind, another thing that drew my attention, Shai, I know that you've been releasing an NFT project which is backed by real rough diamonds that will go through a journey, and based on that journey, there will be additional NFT drops. So which at the end of the day, airdrops, which at the end of the day means you have a true real world asset as a utility for a virtual asset that you're planning to take in some shape or form into a metaverse or into yeah. Talk to me about that a little bit. What was going on there? I mean, I was observing it, and unfortunately, the minting price was exceeding my budget. But I would have been there. But scarcity was ruling it.
Um, I think that we go back to the fundamentals of creating a hash
Yeah.
and creating a quality hash, and what happens when you do good, when you want to make a different type of product, something happens along the way. And what happens for the last year and a half for us was that we have this physical asset that started its journey, and then
Mm.
a mirror in the form of the hashes and the quality of the hash existed constantly in front of it.
Yeah.
So once you transform the rough, we created together with the system that we've put in place a digital twin, a one-to-one documentation view, which is almost like a picture, but it's made out of really small pixelites, and each of the pixelite represent a transaction or hash, or so it's really the perfect representation of a physical asset. So we said, look, this idea of putting it out there and associating the rough immediately with the NFT community, which is a phenomenal community in terms of adaptation and avant-garde, and being really ahead of what it is to create change, which I'm sure it will be very messy and there will be lots of ups and downs, but the direction is set, and you can't ignore it, that evolution happens, and this is part of evolution, and it will have many streams, but this is certainly the beginning of it. So in order not to confuse ourselves too much and for us to test the water, we said, you know what, let's do a type of a business card. And that business card will not sell real diamonds, real back diamonds, but will just sell the information, just the digital twin of them, without any relation to hard asset. So we were lucky enough to meet a couple of great French companies. One of them, Bunzland, which which is through a company called N10 to the next decade, and another company, French, called Magnetism, which have designed a lot of the NFTs, and to create just a business card which is a representation of all the data that we've collected in the form of a bun and a rough, and then the rough alone, and then the rough becomes a polish. So in many ways, try to tell the story of what will be the perfect journey of our stone through the story of the NFT. And we had great feedback, and it was we only put 12 out there because we really wanted to make sure that we know what we're doing, and we wanted to learn along the process. And those 12 were sold in 3 minutes for $10,000 each. And I think
All good, all good.
I hope nobody died. Um, uh, and if sure, I hope they have insurance. The these stones, this meta rough that was sold purely on their visual and on the data behind them, that they represent real information. And the idea that we can sell data, that we can sell immutable data in the form of a rough stone or a polished stone, and there would be an appetite for it, sort of gives us the confidence that we want now that we're going to the second stage, which is really um, linking the each of our rough stones into a digital twin. And then as of the summer, we are not just selling our clients the rough um, stone or the polished stone, but rather we are selling them their equivalent
Digital.
in the digital twin.
How
And
cool.
then in which format do we look at of the token? This is something which is completely up to the client, whether that client would like to have that token to become an NFT, or whether that token becomes just a representation of the contract or the ownership, or so it sort of opens up a fields of utilities that up until now were sort of very limited in terms of its use, because a physical asset can, it can be either a jewelry, it can be in your safe, it can be on your, on your ring or whatever, but it has a limitation, where its digital twin, as of this summer, would be able to live a life of its own while never losing the anchor to the physical asset. And I think this is something that we bring into this world of zeros and ones, that are everything is happening away from me. This anchor that always exists to a physical asset, we feel is a big key in this innovation.
Absolutely fascinating, and I think my audience and including myself, we've learned a lot today. I'm truly inspired about the depth and the passion that you bring to the table, and that you're willing to share, and also the kind of appetite that you're waking up in people to embrace change and to go along with that. So from my end, really, like, huge thanks to you, Shai, that you took out 35-40 minutes of your very busy day to be with me and my crew. But before we go, Shai, some your parting words, 45 seconds. Hit it now.
Is this a final word? Is this how it ends? Um,
This is how it's ending.
how it ends? No, we're bloody lucky to have this idea that we can inspire and we are filled with young individuals, women and men, which have joined this cause, and it's truly it's a dream come true.
Thank you so much, Shai. I'm wishing you a wonderful evening. Thanks for everyone who was tuning in today. Looking forward to have you back on the show after summer. And thank you so much.
Thank you for having me. Thank you.
Take care. Peace out.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye, guys.